Hi there. Do you want to improve your results in Cambridge Use of English Part 3? You've come to the right place. This video is appropriate for B2, C1 and C2 level learners. At the end of this video, you will receive some notes that you can use as exam hacks. But if you are looking for rapid results, this video is not for you. Learning English takes time, dedication and a lot of patience, so sit back and relax, maybe even grab a cup of tea or coffee. Oh, and don't forget, please take notes while watching this video. Remember, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Tip number 1. Know your word classes. For Use of English Part 3, you need to know your word classes. Word classes are words like adjectives, nouns, and verbs. These are the main word classes that appear in Use of English Part 3. Nouns, both in positive and negative forms like advantage and disadvantage. Adjectives, both positive and negative forms like successful and unsuccessful. Adverbs in positive and negative forms like fortunately and unfortunately. And finally, verbs, both in positive and negative forms like behave and misbehave. At a B2 to C2 level, you should know the difference between nouns, adjectives, verbs and adverbs. Tip 2. Look for clues. This is actually easier than it sounds. We need to know what type of grammar is normally used with nouns, adjectives, adverbs and verbs. First, let's take a look at nouns. We can use nouns after articles. For example, this is an article, so we can use a noun after the. An is an article, so we can use a noun after an. We can also use nouns after quantifiers. For example, many is a quantifier, so we can use a noun after many. Several is a quantifier, so we can use a noun after several. We can also use nouns after some verbs. Reach is a verb, so we can use a noun after reach. Also, we can use nouns after some adjectives. Wonderful is an adjective, so we can use a noun after wonderful. We can also use nouns after prepositions. For example, on is a preposition, so we can use a noun after on. And finally, up is a preposition, and we can use a noun after up. This noun form is also known as a gerund. So, let's take this information and apply it to Cambridge Use of English Part 3. Let's look for nouns after articles, quantifiers, verbs, adjectives, and prepositions. Of is a preposition. Achieve is a verb. Various is a quantifier. Enough is a quantifier. Think is a verb. Instant is an adjective. And great is also an adjective. Here, 7 of the possible answers could potentially be nouns, but we need to go through our checklist. 1. Word formation. First, we need to know how to form the noun. 2. Then check meaning. Does it make sense? 3. Does it need to be singular or plural? And 4. Maybe check the meaning in your first language. Let's take a look at number 17. After prepositions like of, we can use noun forms. Do you know the noun form of concentrate? It's concentration. So Point number 1, check. Does it make sense? Can you develop your powers of concentration? Yes, you can. So this is probably the correct answer. Point number 3, we do not need a plural form. And point 4, does it make sense in my first language? My first language is Spanish, so desarrollar mis poderes de concentración, it's more or less makes sense. So I am sure that this is the correct answer. Let's look at number 18. Achieve is a verb. After verbs, we can sometimes use nouns. Do you know the noun form of succeed? It's success. Does this make sense? Can you achieve success in something like chess? Yes, you can. Number 20. Various is a quantifier. We can use nouns after quantifiers. Do you know the noun form of solve? It's solution. Can you find various solution to mathematical problems? This is not grammatically correct. You cannot find various solution to mathematical problems because various is used with plural nouns. Many students lose easy marks here because they forget to check. Remember, for maximum marks, check for plural forms. The correct answer is solutions. Let's take a look at number 21. Enough is a quantifier. We know that we can use nouns after quantifiers like enough. Do you know the noun form of patient? It's patience. Is not having enough patience a problem? Yes, it could be. It makes sense. This is the correct answer. Let's look at number 22. Think is a verb, and we can use nouns after verbs. The noun form of care is care. Care can also be used as a verb. In the Cambridge exam, the answer is never the same. So care is not the correct answer. To double check, let's see if it makes sense. Can you think care before making a move? No, this doesn't make sense. How about in my first language? Pensar cuidado or pensar asistencia? No, it does not make sense, so this is probably not a noun. Let's leave it until later. Number 23. Here, instant is used as an adjective. We can use nouns after adjectives like instant. Do you know the noun form of punish? It's punishment. Does it make sense? Every single error in chess gets instant punishment? Yes, it does make sense. Number 24. Great is an adjective, so we already know that we can use nouns after adjectives. Advantage is already a noun. Let's check if it makes sense. If your opponent takes control in chess, is this a great advantage? No, it isn't. This does not make sense. However, the correct answer is a noun, but it's the negative form of advantage. Disadvantage. If your opponent takes control in chess, it's a disadvantage. So, remember to check point 2. The sentence needs to make sense. Many learners lose points here. Here you can see that nouns are an important part of Use of English Part 3 in this B2 exam. We have found 6 correct answers that are all nouns. Let's look at the word classes and how to spot them in Part 3. Adjectives. We can use adjectives after the verb be. Are not is a form of the verb be. We can use adjectives like employable after the verb be. We can also use adjectives before nouns. Company is a noun, and we can use adjectives like commercial before nouns. Adjectives can also be used in superlative and comparative structures. Now let's take a look at adverbs. We can use introductory adverbs at the beginning of a sentence. Look for a comma at the beginning of a sentence. This may be a clue signifying that the correct answer might be an adverb. We can also use adverbs before adjectives. Nice is an adjective. We can use adverbs like particularly before adjectives. We can also use adverbs after verbs. For example, work is a verb. We can use adverbs like independently after verbs. We can also use adverbs at the end of a sentence. There are more uses of adverbs in Cambridge exams, but these are probably the most common. Finally, let's take a look at verbs. It's more difficult to identify specific situations when verb forms are needed, but here are a few tips. We use verb forms in passive structures after the verb be. There have also been a few appearances of verbs after modal verbs. Let's try to find the remaining 3 answers with all of this information. Number 0. Here we can see the verb be. We already learnt that we can use adjectives after the verb be. Do you know the adjectival form of skill? It's skillful. Let's take a look at number 19 and the root word effective. The word effective is an adjective. We need to change this into a verb, adverb, or noun. The noun form of effective is effectiveness, but the sentence situation effectiveness doesn't make sense here. Let's try an adverb. The adverbial form of effect is effectively. We know that we can use an adverb at the end of a sentence. Can you analyze a situation effectively? Yes, you can. And finally, let's look at number 22. Think is a verb. We already know that after verbs, we can use adverbs. Do you know the adverbial form of care? It's carefully. Does it make sense? In chess, can you think carefully before making a move? Yes. Yes, you can. Exam Hack Toolkit 1. Now, I know that all of this information is a lot to learn in one video, so here is a quick summary of the most important points. Make sure you take note of these. Remember, this information on the screen will help you identify what type of words you need in questions that you are not sure about. I don't recommend you take this approach for every question. It is impossible to look at all of the situations that appear in this activity, but these are the most common, so this list should help you with some specific questions. Exam Hack Toolkit 2. If you are not sure about what type of word to use for a question, here is a list of words that you can use as jokers to try and identify the type of word that you are looking for. For example, imagine you do not know what type of word you need to use here. You can try the joker words until you find a word that fits. For example, to analyze a situation, people, or success. Does this make sense? No, so you probably do not need a noun. What about an adjective? To analyze a situation, great or horrible. Does this make sense? No, so you probably do not need an adjective. How about an adverb? To analyze a situation, fortunately. This could make sense. What about analyze a situation well or badly? This does make sense, so we are probably looking for an adverb here. So the correct answer is an adverb, to analyze a situation effectively. The joker words will not always work, but it's definitely worth a try. They could help you find the correct word type, so make sure you take note of these. Useful exam tip. On the day of your official exam, please be careful. Make sure you copy your answers onto the answer sheet in capital letters. If you do not use capital letters, then your answers will be harder to read. So remember, like the exam says, use capital letters. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope some of this information could be very useful and help you improve your use of English. See you in the next one.